Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Politically Canadian. It's April 18th, 2025. And with the federal election just 10 days away, Canada's political landscape is electric. Today, we're diving deep into a force that's shaking things up: the rise of populism. From the Freedom Convoy to the People's Party, economic struggles to social media storms, populism's changing how we vote and talk politics, especially in this 2025 race. What's fueling it? How's it impacting the election? And what does it mean for Canada's future? Grab a double-double, maybe a butter tart for that extra Canadian kick, and let's unpack this. This is Politically Canadian, keeping it real, eh? Let's start with the shifting political landscape. Populism, where leaders rally the people against elites, isn't new to Canada. Think social credit in the 30s or reform in the 90s. But it's roaring back, and a big spark was the 2022 Freedom Convoy. Picture this. Truckers and supporters rolled into Ottawa, honking horns, waving flags, protesting COVID-19 vaccine mandates and lockdowns. Their demands weren't just about health rules. They voiced economic pain, like truckers hit by fuel costs or small businesses crushed by closures. The convoy, which split Canadians, some cheered, others cringed, left a legacy. It showed how fast frustration with government can turn into a movement, setting the stage for populism's rise in the 2025 election. This brings us to populist parties like the People's Party of Canada, or PPC, led by Maxime Bernier. Started in 2018, the PPC hasn't won seats but grew from 1.6% of the vote in 2019 to 4.9% in 2021, pulling 840,000 votes. Their platform, smaller government, lower immigration, rejecting climate targets, taps into anger at out-of-touch elites. Social media is their megaphone. On X, TikTok, and YouTube, they share snappy videos and memes, rallying a loyal base. But social media is a mixed bag. It boosts their reach while fueling polarization. Echo chambers, where people only hear what they already believe, thrive online, and misinformation like vaccine myths or election fraud claims spreads like wildfire. Influencers with big followings can sway voters, sometimes drowning out fact-based discourse. In 2025, this dynamic's shaping how parties like the PPC compete with liberals and conservatives. Now let's talk economic discontent. One of populism's biggest drivers, Canada's cost of living crisis is brutal. Housing's a nightmare. Average home prices climbed from $441,000 in 2015 to $713,700 today. Groceries are up 8.1% since 2022. And rents squeezing families. Rural communities like those in Saskatchewan or northern BC feel it worst. These areas tied to farming or oil face job losses, while urban hubs like Toronto boom. Rural folks often feel ignored by policies like carbon taxes hitting farmers harder than city commuters. This forgotten vibe fuels populism, as voters turn to leaders promising to prioritize their struggles over urban elites. Trade's another sore point. NAFTA, reborn as the USMCA, opened markets but didn't save everyone. Manufacturing in Ontario and Quebec lost jobs. Think auto plants closing as work moved to Mexico. While trade grew Canada's GDP, the wins went to corporations and cities, leaving some workers feeling globalization's a raw deal. In the 2025 election, with Trump's 25% tariffs on Canadian goods looming, fears about economic security are spiking. Populists play on this, framing trade deals as threats to sovereignty. Unlike Trump's America First, Canada's trade reliance softens anti-globalization talk. But the sentiment's there, especially in industrial writings. Let's zoom in on conservative populism. Since 2023, Pierre Poilievre's Conservative Party has embraced populist vibes. His messaging blasting liberal insiders, promising GST cuts on homes, and pushing Canada First economic plans, targets voters fed up with high costs and scandals. Poilievre's support for the Freedom Convoy, calling protesters law-abiding, won him fans among anti-mandate voters, but sparked debate. In the 2028 campaign, he's leaned into immigration limits and cultural values, like opposing woke policies, appealing to suburban and rural voters. Polls show conservatives at 33% versus the liberals 49%. But Poilievre's style could flip key ridings. This shift risks losing moderates, but aims to steal PPC supporters, reshaping the party's base. The PPC's appeal is narrower but intense. Bernier's platform, slashing immigration, ditching climate goals, and prioritizing Canadian values, draws voters who feel mainstream parties betray them. Their anti-multiculturalism and trade skepticism echo European far-right parties, though Canada's diversity caps their growth. In 2021, they split the right-wing vote, helping Liberals win tight ridings. For 2025, they're polling at 5 to 7%, potentially impacting close races. Their social media game, think viral clips and X threads, keeps them in the conversation, especially with young men feeling alienated by economic and cultural shifts. Is this all homegrown? Nope. American populism's leaving a mark. Donald Trump's anti-elite, anti-trade playbook has inspired Canadian leaders like Populist and Bernier. The Freedom Convoy mirrored U.S. anti-mask protests, with some organizers citing American libertarian ideas. Trump's 2025 tariff threats have supercharged economic fears, giving Canadian populists ammo to rail against globalism. Social media is a big connector. U.S. influencers on X shape Canadian debates, from immigration to culture wars. While Canada's multiculturalism tempers Trump-style nativism, his shadow looms, pushing our politics toward sharper divides as we head to the polls. Here's a big challenge. Trust in government and media is crumbling. Over 70% of Canadians see conditions ripe for populism. Distrust in politicians, fueled by the 2008 crash, COVID-19 rules, and liberal scandals like SNC Lavalin. Populist rhetoric, calling media fake or Ottawa corrupt, deepens this. Social media spreads misinformation fast, from vaccine conspiracies to election fraud claims, eroding faith in democracy. In 2025, this distrust could sway voters toward anti-establishment candidates, especially in tight ridings. Low trust also risks democratic processes. If people doubt elections, they're more open to extremes. Populism's got risks. It can fuel demagoguery, where leaders whip up fear over facts. It can amplify hate speech, especially on immigration or identity issues. And it can chip away at democratic norms, like respecting courts or election results. But brushing it off as fringe won't work. Populism grows from real pain, economic inequality, rural neglect, distrust. Canada's dodged far-right surges better than Europe, but ignoring these concerns could change that. The 2025 election's a test. Will parties address these issues or let division fester? Engaging with voters' anxieties, not dismissing them, is the way forward. So, what can we do? Let's end with a call to action. First, boost your media literacy. Populism thrives on half-truths, so verify what you see on X or TikTok. In fact, on any social media. Check primary sources, government reports, Elections Canada, credible outlets. Step out of echo chambers. Follow voices you don't agree with to stay balanced. Second, get involved. Vote on April 28th. Advance polls are open now. Join community forums, talk to your MP, or volunteer on local issues. Your voice matters. Finally, push for a fairer Canada. Support policies tackling poverty, like job programs or housing plans, to ease the tensions feeding populism. A more inclusive society is our best defense. And that's the story, folks. Populism's surging in Canada, shaping the 2025 election with the Freedom Convoy's echo, PPC's rise, and Poilievre's new tone. It's driven by real struggles, costs, distrust, global pressures, but we can meet it with empathy, action, and unity. What's your take on populism? How's it hitting your community? Drop it in the comments. I'm all ears. If this sparked some thoughts, hit that thumbs up, share with a friend, and subscribe for more. This is Politically Canadian, keeping you in the loop. Catch you next time. Stay cozy, eh?